So, this is lecture 15 of basic calculus 1. In the last 2 or 3 lectures, we had discussed about differentiation, how to take the derivative of a function. Sometimes the function is differentiable at a point, sometimes it is not. If it is differentiable, then how to compute its derivative. That is what we will be discussing today. So, like if you remember, there was a problem where x sin 1 over x was there. We told we will be talking about rules of differentiation, so that you can differentiate easily instead of going back to the first principle. So, we will be discussing those things today, so that it will be easier to differentiate functions. Okay, so, this is really compiling usual things we will be requiring. So, suppose f of x and g of x are differentiable functions, that means on their domains, at every point of their domains they are differentiable. Moreover, we are going to consider like f x plus g x. So, that means this new function which is f plus g, we write f x plus g x at a time. So, that should be definable on the same domain. So, as a prerequisite, whenever these kind of things come f x g x, both are involved, we would assume implicitly that they have the same domain. So, then suppose on their domain, same domain, f x and g x are both differentiable functions. We start with a constant, say k, which is a real number, it is a constant. That will be of course requiring here, other places it is not required. Now, the first rule says, if you take the addition of two functions f plus g, its value at x is of course f x plus g x. So, we will be writing the function, new function as f x plus g x, it is really f plus g. So, its derivative is equal to sum of the derivatives of individual functions. That is not difficult to see, because you know the algebra of limits. So, once you take this increment in f x plus g x, it will be in the form f of x plus h minus f x. So, when you take g x, it will be g of x plus h minus g x, and f x plus g x has f of x plus h plus g of x plus h minus f x minus g x. So, when you divide by h, you take the limit, because of algebra of limits, it will be equal to f prime x plus g prime x. Similarly, when you take the constant multiple of a function, then in the limiting process that k comes out. So, you will get k times f prime x. So, these two things help us, along with the formula differentiation of x to the power n equal to n times x to the power n minus 1, to differentiate polynomials. We will see of course soon. The third says that if you multiply two functions f x into g x, so that is f g, new function. So, its derivative is a bit different, not just f prime x into g prime x. It will be f prime x g x plus f x times g prime x. So, you have to remember this and apply. Of course, we will see how it is coming. Okay. So, of course, we can see, if you want, let us see, this is not difficult. We have f x g x derivative on the left side. So, we have to compute the limit of its increment in f x into g x, which is f of x plus h into g of x plus h minus f x times g x. Divide that by increment in x, which is h, and we want to find its limit. So, here for the timing, forget this denominator h, we will divide later. Now, look at the numerator, f of x plus h into g of x plus h minus f x into g x. We will add and subtract something. Say, we will subtract f x times g of x plus h and add f x times g of x plus h. So, both the numerators are same. Denominator is h, you divide it. So, you get f of x plus h minus f x by h into g of x plus h plus f x times, because this is f x g s. So, f x times g of x plus h minus g x by h. Now, when you take the limit as h goes to 0, the first factor, this one, comes to f prime x. Here the second one comes to g prime x. So, you get your formula, which is in 3. So, that is how 3 is proved. Now, 4 follows similarly from the algebra of limits again. So, that is similar to this, it can be proved. We will go for the chain rule, but we have to remember this exactly, because once we apply we do not have to come back here again. So, it says f x divided by g x, its derivative is equal to, it is not just f prime x by g prime x just like the earlier one, it is f prime g x minus, it was plus here in plus, here it is minus f x g prime x, almost the same thing, but that is only in the numerator. Denominator we have g x squared. So, this is really g of x squared, not g of x squared. This is how the formula would look like, that g x f prime x minus f x g prime x divided by g of x square. Then the next one, it is very a bit easier to remember, but we will give that later. So, it says if you have a composition of functions g of f. So, as you remember, this is defined at x, its value is g of f of x. So, we are writing on the left side that composition, derivative of the composition g of f of x is equal to derivative of g with respect to f of x. So, that means it will be equal to g prime of f x. F x is a particular number now, for x a number, f of x is a number. So, at that point f x is the derivative of g. So, g derivative with respect to f, that is what the symbol would say, it is g prime of f x into f prime x or df x by dx. So, this multiplied by f prime of x, that is the composition, g o prime, g o f prime equal to g prime of f into f prime. So, that is called the chain rule. We will give a proof of this. Now, in particular, if you say that f is invertible, it is a bijection, then f inverse exists, and you may think of f of f inverse x. So, f of f inverse x is equal to x. Now, the left side, this first factor is really x, the function is f of f inverse x is x, identity function. So, that can be differentiated with respect to f inverse x, and then df inverse x divided by dx. So, the whole thing, because of chain rule, look at the right side, it is f inverse by f inverse, df of f inverse by d of f inverse, d of n inverse by dx. So, it is really dx by dx, and that is equal to 1. So, 6 comes out of 5 by taking in this particular fashion, or sometimes we write in the other way, f inverse of df inverse of f x divided by df x into f prime x, that is also okay. But this formula is used to find out the derivative of f inverse. We will see it soon how it is applied, but it is coming out of the chain rule. So, let us have a proof of this chain rule at least. All the others are easier, they come from the algebra of limits. Okay. So, for the chain rule, this is the chain rule we want to prove, d of g of f x by dx equal to d of g of f x by df x into df x by dx. So, x is any point in the domain. So, let us say x equal to a. At that a, we want to differentiate and see that the formula holds, then it will be true for all the points in the domain, therefore, it is true. So, now fix a point, say x equal to a. At that we want to see that this formula holds. Okay. So, for that what we do? We define a new function phi of h or phi of h. So, this h you can look at, because a is fixed. Now, you are taking g of f of a plus h. So, this is really a function of h minus g of f of h is a number, divided by f of a plus h, it is a function of h, and minus a number. So, this is really defining a function of h, and this we take when f of a plus h is not equal to f of a. Of course, when it is equal we cannot define it. So, when it is equal we define it separately, we say phi of h equal to g prime of f of a. So, our assumptions are obvious that g should be differentiable at this point f of a. That is of course there because of the implicit assumption that it is differentiable, then only we can find its derivative. So, we define this function phi of h equal to this if f of plus h is not equal to f of a, and if that is equal, we take g prime of f of a. Now, we want to discover some properties of this phi depending on h. So, first we claim that phi is continuous at 0. Why is it so? It is a function of h, remember there is no a now, it is observed there as numbers. Now, at continuous at 0 means limit h goes to 0 of phi h should be equal to phi of 0. When you take the limit h goes to 0, so that means h is not equal to 0. So, f of a plus h is not equal to f of a. Therefore, this is phi of h. Now, when you take the limit of h goes to 0, this is really the derivative, right. So, that gives the derivative of g prime at f of a h goes to 0. So, that you get g prime of f a, but that according to our definition is phi of 0, because a plus h equal to f of a at h equal to 0. So, that is equal to phi of 0. So, since this limit is equal to phi of 0 as h goes to 0, we say that phi is continuous at 0. Okay. So, this is one property of phi, it is continuous. Now, again we observe that g of f of a plus h minus g of f of a divided by h, which is really in the limit would give us the left side. So, that ratio is equal to phi of h times f of a plus h minus f of a divided by h. How is it true? If h is not equal to 0, then f of a plus h is not equal to f of a, that applies. So, it may be equal, but that is what it applies, because f of a plus h is not equal to f of a. So, once that applies, this divided by h, that would give phi of h times f of a plus h by h. It is just applying this formula whenever f of plus h is not equal to f of a. If f of a plus h equal to f of a, then the right side becomes 0 and the left side is again 0, because h goes to h equal to 0. So, this formula is true in any case. Now, we are of course interested when h is not equal to 0. Now, in that case you take limit h goes to 0. So, the left side gives this limit, which is g prime or composition derivative at a d of g of f x by dx at x equal to a, and the right side gives phi of h. Now, it is h is phi is continuous function. So, that gives you phi of 0, and phi of 0 we know to be g prime of f of a. So, that we get from phi of h, and limit h goes to 0 of the second factor, that gives you f prime a. So, that is how we get the derivative of the composition or the chain rule. We will see that how to apply this chain rule. Of course, its application is in the inverse first. Okay. So, this we also write in this fashion as we have already remarked. Let us see how this is applied, the chain rule. So, first let us rewrite it. So, what happens? Y is equal to f of x. We say g of f of x, let us write it as z. So, z equal to g of f of x, which is g of y. Z is a function of y, y is a function of x. That is how z becomes a function of x after this composition. So, the formula now looks like d of g of f x by d of f x. G of f x is z, so dz by dy d of f x into d of f x divided by dx, which is dy by dx, and that should be the left hand side dz by dx. So, this is easier to remember this way, as if these two are being cancelled, but they are not. Remember that they are not cancelled. There is nothing called cancellation now, because it is just a notation dz by dy. It is not the ratio of dz with dy. It is a one entity, right, dz by dy. It is not a ratio of dz and dy, but it behaves in the chain rule as if they are ratios. So, that helps us remembering the formula. But we have to write in this form y equal to f x, z equal to g of y, which is g of f of x. Okay. So, with this let us apply to our polynomials, let us say, but this is about chain rule. Polynomials, when you differentiate, you will require only this one and the sum rule and the constant multiplication rule, first and second rule. So, in that case what we do? We differentiate a polynomial a0 plus a1x plus an x to the power n. It will be sum of individual derivatives. So, first derivative of a0, it is a constant, its derivative is 0, and derivative of a1x is a1 times derivative of x. Derivative of x means k equal to 1 here. So, that gives 1 into x to the power 0, which is 1, that 1. So, it gives a1. Similarly, we proceed, and the last one is a n x to the power n, that gives a n out, and x to the power n gives n times x to the power n minus 1. So, this is how the polynomial differentiation will be effected. I think that is easy to remember. Just first constant goes away, next constant remains, next 2 times a2, that x square 2 comes here, and so on. Okay, let us see this. Apply chain rule and this on a function having x to the power m by n, a rational power, not only natural numbers here, x to the power m by n. So, they are positive power. So, negatives 1 by x will come later. So, f x equal to x to the power m by n. Okay. So, here what we do? We write y equal to f of x equal to x to the power m by n. We want to find out dy by dx. This is what we want to find. Okay. So, once y equal to x to the power m by n, we can raise both the sides to power n, it gives y to the power n equal to x to the power m. Now, what we do? We differentiate both the sides, so that derivatives should be same. Now, once you differentiate, on the left side you have y to the power n. So, its differentiation will be n, it is d y to the power n by dy into dy by dx. So, that gives the left side n y to the power n with respect to y gives you n y to the power n minus 1, dy by dx remains, that is on the left side. And on the right side we apply this formula. So, that gives m into x to the power m minus 1. Now, you have to simplify this, substituting our y. So, dy by dx will be m divided by n into x to the power m minus 1 divided by y to the power n minus 1. So, it is a matter of simplification now. Y to the power n minus 1, we can write y to the power n and y to the power minus 1, which goes to the top. So, y is here. Now, y to the power n is replaced by x to the power m and y is replaced by x to the power m by n. All the other factors remain. So, now we simplify this, m by n remains as it is, and x to the power m cancels. So, 1 x to the power minus 1 remains, that gives x to the power m by n minus 1. So, now you look at the final result, it says dy by dx equal to m by n x to the power m by n minus 1. As if this m by n is something like a k. So, this gives k times x to the power k minus 1. So, that means it is the same formula we are using even for k as a rational number. It is easy to remember this way. Okay. So, now this is for rationals. If you take it to the reals, then you have to give some approximation of real numbers by the rationals, which will be using completeness property. And finally, we would be getting x to the power r, derivative is r into x to the power r minus 1 for real numbers r, provided x is positive, because negative to the power irrationals will not be defined. So, that is how it is almost the same formula that goes, r goes away, x to the power r minus 1. Okay. So, that is about the power function. If you proceed that way, so this is, here is a list of all the derivatives. It will help us in computing derivatives of some complicated functions. So, first thing is, if it is a constant function, that is f of x equal to k for every x, then its derivative is 0. That is easy, we have done it earlier, because f of x plus h is k, f of x is also k. So, numerator becomes 0, then limit of that divided by h also becomes 0. So, constant function derivative is 0. If it is x to the power r, then it will give r x to the power r minus 1 where r is not 0. If r is equal to 0, it is of course 0, but it looks absurd to apply it here. Of course, it is coming from there. It is not a particular case, but as a mnemonic it is so. So, x to the power r is r into x to the power r minus 1. Now, similarly, if we go, we will get sin x derivative equal to cos x. We have seen it in another problem, how to compute this. Of course, there you have to use limit x goes to 0, sin x by 2 by x by 2 is 1. Okay. So, derivative of cos x is minus sin x, that also we have seen earlier. Similarly, you proceed, you get derivative of tan x as secant square x. Of course, this is not, tan x is not defined at multiples of pi by 2. So, except those points, tan x derivative will be secant square x. Similarly, for secant x, it will be secant x into tan x, again where it is not defined. So, that has to be eliminated, except those points, everywhere else this formula holds. Then cosec x will give us, it is coming from there by a duality rule. So, minus cosecant x into cot x, just like minus comes from here. So, minus cosec x into cot x, and derivative of cot x equal to minus cosec square x. Again we have to take care of where they are defined, where they are not. Then derivative of sin inverse x will be 1 divided by square root of 1 minus x square. Remember, we defined sin inverse x for mod x less than 1. So, it is gives 1 divided by square root of 1 minus x square. Of course, sin inverse x is defined at x equal to 1, but it is not differentiable there. So, we will not have this. We will see how to derive this inverse, at least one of the inverses we will derive, other things are similar. It will come from the chain rule, as we have remarked in that rule number 6. Similarly, if you take tan inverse x, its derivative is 1 divided by 1 plus x square for every x. And secant inverse x, its derivative is 1 divided by mod x into square root of x square minus 1. So, when you go to cos inverse x, it will be having a negative sign, because cos inverse x equal to pi by 2 minus sin inverse x. So, 1 minus sign will come, pi by 2 derivative is 0. Similarly, if you take cot inverse x, there will be a minus sign here. Cosec inverse x derivative, there will be a minus sign here. Okay. This is for mod x bigger than 1. Let us see how this sin inverse x we have obtained. In fact, all the inverse functions will be obtained that way. So, now for sin inverse x, we consider this equation, that sin of sin inverse x equal to x for mod x less than 1, there only we are interested. Now, sin of sin inverse x equal to x. So, we differentiate both the sides and apply the chain rule. So, that would give d of x derivative is 1, we kept on the left side, and derivative of sin inverse x, that would give that function with respect to sin inverse x, and sin inverse x with respect to x. This is like your sin y and dy, d sin y by dy. So, that is d of sine function, that gives you cosine of y. So, that gives cosine of sin inverse x, and this is of course, we want to find out sin inverse x, it is really derivative, one d is missing here, d of sin inverse x by dx. So, that is your sin inverse x prime. Now, this gives sin inverse prime or derivative equal to cos of sin inverse x reciprocal. Now, what is cos of sin inverse x? Now, we can write cos of sin inverse x, imagine sin inverse x as t. So, square root of 1 minus sin square t, that is cos t, and sin of sin inverse x, which is x. So, its square is x square. So, cos of sin inverse x is square root of 1 minus x square, that is the reason we get square root of 1 minus x square, and derivative of sin inverse x will be reciprocal of that. So, it is 1 divided by 1 minus x square square root. So, that is how all the inverse functions can be differentiated this way. So, in fact, when sometimes we will not get the function given explicitly like y equal to f of x, but there will be an equation. We will say that the function is defined in its domain or in one of their possible domains. If it is implicit, it can be union of intervals. In one of those intervals, wherever you want differentiation, this equation can of course be solved if possible, but we do not need to solve it for differentiation. We can differentiate the whole equation as we are doing sin of sin inverse x equal to x, and then simplify it to compute our derivative. That is what is called implicit differentiation. Or sometimes we will be given x is a function of t, y is a function of t. So, the dependence of y and x is given through that t, that is called a parametric way of defining the function. So, either it is given implicitly or it is given parametrically. We can also use our differentiation method. So, like this one, whenever it is x equal to x of t, y equal to y of t, like some curve in the plane which may not be a function, but as t we may take time or some the length of this curve from the beginning. So, if that is your t, then every point can be thought of as coordinate of x t, y t. So, there it becomes helpful. So, suppose a function is given parametrically in terms of a parameter t, then we want to find out dy by dx. Again we apply chain rule. So, dy by dx is dy by dt times dt by dx. Now, dt by dx is really dx by dt inverse. So, that again you can find out by differentiating the identity function. So, this one really it is the identity function dx. So, x is a function of t, and again t is taken as a function of x, it is imagined that way. So, we get the identity function x of t, t of x, x o t. So, once you differentiate by the chain rule, it is dx by dt, dt by dx equal to 1. So, you get dt by dx equal to dx by dt reciprocal. So, we can use this formula dy by dx equal to dy by dt into dx by dt to the power minus 1. Of course, they will be defined when dx by dt is not 0 at a point. In fact, if we want abstractly for every t, then everywhere in its domain of the parameter, it should not be 0, dx by dt should not be 0. So, these are assumed implicitly.